In which ways are Canada and Australia different? As a European, I'm very curious about these differences between those countries. And so we're going to look at Jess and Dave here explaining their biggest differences that they've found. I think they've been living in Brisbane for 4 months when they made this video, as it said in the description. So let's go ahead and find out what these differences are.
We've been living in Brisbane, Australia for 4 months now, and we've gotten used to
Brisbane. I think I said Brisbane. Brisbane.
most of the things that are different between here and Canada, but there's definitely still a list of things that just feel really strange and we just have not gotten used to.
So in this video, we're going to mention some of those things that still kind of stick out to us.
Now, some of these items are probably going to sound pretty insignificant, but when there's things that happen on a daily basis, multiple times a day, it does still really stick out for us as foreigners. So the first thing that still stands out to us are the light switches.
Yeah.
Which sounds really silly, but when you're turning them on and off all day, I still do it wrong half of the time. Like, so you'll have two light switches on the switch thing, and I won't know which one is on and which one is off.
Oh, I've not seen this. That's interesting. Yeah, I did not know that this was a thing.
So I end up turning a light on instead of turning it off. Anyways, it's just backwards to me, and I don't know if I'll ever get used to it.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of different rooms in our apartment here, or a lot of...
I would assume if you live there long enough, then you might get used to it because you automate it, I guess. I'm trying to think of like examples because I had an example in my mind, but it just flew away already. But I feel like your brain might get used to it, but I don't know after what amount of time that would happen. That's pretty interesting.
lights, but I sometimes will stop before flicking any lights and try to think, like, is this the right one? Is this the right way? And it never is.
Never the right one.
So I don't know why Australia is this way or why Canada is, this way. I don't understand why it has to be reversed.
Yeah.
But it's never what I actually think it is. So a lot of times someone's in a different room and we like to keep the lights off because electricity is expensive. And then you end up just flicking a light on, a different light comes on in a different room and it blinds someone. So
Happens all of the time.
yeah.
You would think that you get used to it. I am not.
Yeah.
And then on the topic of light switches, I don't know if it's necessarily something I haven't gotten used to, but it's just something I still find very interesting, is that each individual socket has its own on and off switch.
Yes, that's not a thing in Canada.
So when we first moved here, we
Yeah,
had...
I did see this first in I think it was the TikTok video, or like the video where I reacted to different TikToks of people's cultural shocks in Australia, where I saw this. But interestingly, now here in Malaysia, they also have them. And for me, that was also the first time that I saw those in real life. But I really get it now because it is really nice if you can just switch it off and not have to like pull the whole plug out when you want something just not, constantly being on. So I feel like they should have those in more locations, in more countries.
some adapters because none of our things would plug into the Australian sockets. And it's so bulky, the adapter, that when we would try and plug it in, we would keep turning off the switch so then things wouldn't charge.
Yeah, that is a thing because I'm looking there because I'm seeing the what is it called? Outlets are there. But we also have, me and my boyfriend have these travel blocks where we can put our own individual, in his case, his American plugs, and for me, my European one. But you do have to they're kind of a little bit out of the plug is kind of a little bit hanging out of it, or the travel block, because otherwise it pushes against the button. So I do feel like this is more so for if you're traveling, I guess, because if you don't have to use one of those blocks, you don't really have that problem, I guess. So I get it that it's like that, because if you're just in that country you just have the adapter that goes in there, you probably don't have a problem with it. But yeah, in the case of using travel blocks, I feel like it would have been more convenient if that button was a little bit more up or something like that. But again, probably most people who actually live there don't have a problem with it, I guess.
So we
Yeah.
very quickly realized that we needed to change all of our plugs and buy things that had,
Yeah.
the Australian plug.
I honestly like it because in Canada, when you buy something, let's say an air fryer, and you plug it in, you're never going to reach out and then unplug it every single time. And everything you buy draws a little bit of energy, and I think you end up paying like quite a bit of power through, I don't know what they call it.
Isn't it like ghost electricity?
Ghost electricity.
Something like
Isn't
that.
it vampire electricity or something?
I don't know, but it's something like that where you're
Energy drawn by devices when they are plugged in but seemingly off, like TVs with standby LEDs, chargers, gaming consoles, and coffee makers. Why it matters, this vampire power can account for up to 10% of a home's electricity bill. Yeah. I didn't know it could be like that much. I feel like 10% is kind of a lot for things that you're not using, but I did know of this because my mom will sometimes do this, not with like every appliance or thing in the house, but especially in summertime and stuff when you have your fans, and she might unplug those because she would tell us, everything adds up, and that is true. So I feel like the buttons are just logical and common sense.
basically just always drawing a little bit of current, even when you're not using the item because it's plugged in.
But here, as soon as we are done using a toaster, an air fryer, anything, we always flick the power off to the actual plug itself. I really think that's something that should come to Canada.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's been a single time I've ever seen a little switch on the actual plate.
Never. Before coming to Australia, I had never seen that before. I didn't know that was a thing at all.
But now that we've been here for a couple months, it's nice.
It is really nice. And while we're still talking about things being opposite, door locks. There's not a lot of doors that I have to actually use a key to lock and unlock, but when I have, they're backwards. I do always get it wrong.
Yeah,
There's like a sliding door at work that we close when we go out to eat on the patio for lunch, and I'm always wrong when I try and lock and unlock it.
Yeah, switches being backwards, locks being backwards.
Wait, but I'm confused. Because which way is it in Canada and which way is it in Australia then? Because I'm trying to think where it would be the same for me then.
Another thing I find strange here in Australia, at least from all the places that we've rented so far, all 2 of them, there's no screens on the doors or windows, which is crazy because every place I've ever lived in Canada has always had screens, and we don't have nearly what you guys have here.
Yeah, we don't have as poisonous of bugs and snakes and just all the critters.
Or the amount of mosquitoes. Half the time in Canada it's just winter, so there's nothing outside, just snow. So here, like, our apartment door is wide open. There's no screen in it.
That's a nice apartment. But yeah, I would have also assumed that you'd have some type of screens or something. I have also not seen them in Asia so far. So that's interesting.
And our windows at night, you just open up and it's just bushes sticking through the windows.
Yeah, there's like this foliage here is just coming through the window.
Yeah.
It's just like a gateway for every critter that's outside.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't get it. For a country that has creatures that it has,
Yeah.
it's so strange that there's no screens.
There's some times where I'd love to just sleep with the doors and windows open, but even this high up, I still feel like something's gonna come in the window. And every once in a while, we'll have this door open because trying to save money with having no AC on. And we'll just be watching TV and a mosquito will just fly by us.
Fly by both of our
deeper
faces.
into the apartment. And we're like, okay, we'll find that guy later.
Yeah. Install some screens, guys. It's very strange. But also let us know, like, is this just our experience? We've just happened to find places that don't have screens? Or do some of you have screens, depending where you live? I can imagine there's places more inland that have even more critters and snakes and stuff. So maybe they've got screens there.
I like spiders as much as the next person, maybe.
Well, if the next person is me, then I hate them.
But I wouldn't open a window and then there'd be like a massive spider there and I'd be like, come on in. I'm just going to go to sleep now. Because you're going to wake up. He's going to be on your ceiling.
Or on your face.
I don't know.
Clearly, we're not over this.
Clearly, we're not over this.
We keep trying to transition into the next point, and we just keep coming back to the screens.
I just need screens on my windows.
Yeah. If you know a guy, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we moving on?
Yes.
Okay. So in keeping with the apartment points, I guess, things applicable to our living in our apartment, we didn't realize that using dryers is not really a thing. And we mostly got that from some of the comments we've gotten on our previous YouTube videos where people talk about washers and dryers not being included necessarily in rental units, but that most people don't use the dryer anyways, and that's oftentimes why they're a lot smaller.
In Canada, there's definitely people who hang items out after washing on the lines if you have space. But I'd say by and large, more people don't hang stuff outside.
And I think part of that is probably because half of the year it's too cold to do that. Your clothes would just freeze.
That is true.
So maybe it's just a habit that, you use the dryer all winter, so a lot of people just don't bother.
But it's still a big habit here where we'll do laundry and then the first thought is to put it in the dryer.
But I have been using the dryer a lot less. I just
Yes.
have hangers and I just start hanging clothes all around the apartment. But I'd love to.
Yeah, it's also in certain countries in Europe, it's more common to not have a dryer as well. Like in Spain, for example, I didn't have a dryer when I lived there. Usually in the Netherlands, people have a dryer, but then there's also people who don't really use them. So yeah, I feel like it's more common in Europe as well. Especially if you can just use the natural heat, I guess.
To get something out on our balcony so we could actually hang everything out here.
We're slowly transitioning to the Australian way of life. It just takes a bit of time to unlearn 30 years of habits.
So this one's just kind of random. And it's not, again, something that we're not used to, but it's just still funny every time I see it, is that apartment buildings have a 13th floor in Australia.
Yes.
In Canada, you will not, they have a 13th floor in Canada, but they don't label it as such. So when you're going up in the elevator, you'll have 10, 11, 12, and then it skips to 14.
Yes. And I think it's just strictly superstition.
Yeah.
There's no reason
That's funny. I didn't know about that.
not to. But here, I guess, in Australia, there's no superstition for the 13th floor.
I guess not.
We've lived in a lot of buildings, and no building has ever had a 13th floor.
And not even just apartment buildings, like work buildings, any sort of building that goes over 13 floors does not have a 13th floor.
Yeah.
It's to the point where it's such like a novel thing that if we had had the option to live on a 13th floor, I would have gotten like a little bit of excitement from that.
Yeah.
Nothing major, but it would have been like, oh my gosh, we live on the 13th floor, putting that as your address.
Yeah.
It's just never happened before.
Another thing I find interesting here in Australia, a lot of your bread products don't come pre-cut. Now, this is not me complaining at all, because I actually prefer them not being pre-cut. I think they stay fresher longer. But when it comes to hot dog buns, hamburger buns, or really most buns, bagels, everything is pre-cut in Canada. I've never purchased uncut hamburger buns.
Yeah.
And every bun in Australia that you buy has to be cut, which is kind of nice. I like it. It makes it feel like it's more fresh and less processed. Maybe it's weird that we pre-cut everything in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, you have sliced bread here in Australia, but no sliced buns.
It's interesting that everything has to be sliced, but you also need to show ID to buy a knife.
Yeah, that's another thing. Let's throw that in randomly.
Yeah.
You can't buy knives here in Australia without having to show ID.
Wow.
Which, I mean, okay.
I'm not against it.
I haven't looked into it. I imagine the law is there for a reason, and it's probably not a happy story.
You just have to be over a certain age in order to buy them. Even like a butter knife.
At the end of the day, the fact
Wow,
that I have
even
to
a
cut
butter knife? That's so interesting.
all my buns here, completely fine. And I actually prefer it.
So on the topic of buying things from grocery stores, you cannot buy alcohol at the grocery store because it's not there.
Yeah, I did find this out in another video as well. And no, I think it was like, I asked you guys about it as well. And yeah, because I was like, they also don't sell them at grocery stores? And then you guys told me that they don't. Which I had to get used to the idea a little bit, because in the Netherlands, we do just sell alcohol at the grocery store, you might also have like an attached liquor store. But like, yeah, beer, wine, mixed drinks. Yeah. Any I don't really know what the difference is between then the alcohol at the store and the liquor store. I'm not too sure because I don't drink alcohol, so I've never really observed what they do and don't have in the liquor store versus in the grocery store. If you happen to be from the Netherlands and you know, then inform us in the comments.
They don't sell alcohol at the grocery stores here.
Yes. Now, they could be different if we shop almost exclusively at Woolworths. Woolworths doesn't sell alcohol, so maybe Kohl's does.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think
No.
it's pretty much you buy alcohol at like the Bottle-O or the liquor stores.
I mean, it's pretty convenient to just go next door. Most Woolworths here have a EWS right next door to it. So, I mean, it's not very hard to find alcohol. In Canada, you can buy anything alcohol-wise, essentially, from a grocery store.
Yeah, beer, spirits, wine.
It took a long time for Canada to make changes to that. I think it all changed during COVID. Another big difference that we've noticed here in Australia, which is really everywhere almost in the world except for Canada, is Canada has a very active... So I don't want to say the word. I don't want to be demonetized for it.
There are certain things in Canada that you could smoke that you can't smoke in most other countries.
Yes, Canada is one of the few countries where it is legal. There's a couple other countries here and there, but in Canada, it's huge business. You cannot go a block without finding a store, and most stores are actually owned
Yeah. Most you probably know that you can in the Netherlands as
by
well.
the government. And when you come here to Australia, it is not big business.
I mean, I'm sure people still do it. I feel like I've
course.
smelled it every once in a while off our balcony, but
Yeah.
it's not legal. And obviously, being people here on visas, we're not messing around with
Yeah,
breaking laws, so we have not partaken
Of
since
course.
being here. But in Canada,
yeah, it's very common.
it's it's very common.
Honestly, once again, not a huge deal, but it is one of those
Little bit of
things
a deal.
where, where when we arrived here in Australia, something that would be a very like acceptable, casual thing is just like not a thing. So,
Another thing that is just very strange, it didn't feel like Christmas at all. It's so different being in Australia, being in...
Yeah, I really wonder what that's like, because I did do a video this last Christmas on Christmas in Australia, and I do want to experience it at least once in my life, if I can. But yeah, I do wonder what it's like if you didn't grow up with that to then experience Christmas in the summer, because it's so different from Christmas in winter. So that's why, also one of the reasons why I want to experience it.
summer and it being Christmas, especially when you're out and about and you're seeing, Christmas trees and decorations,
Yeah.
but you're sweating profusely and you're in shorts and a t-shirt.
yeah.
It's so strange to me.
I'm going to gatekeep Christmas here and say that if you don't have snow, you don't have real Christmas.
It's a hot take.
That's a hot take. My hot take is that you need snow in order to have like true Christmas. Here, you still have all like the motif of Christmas. You have the trees and the lights. There's like snowflakes on decorations. You don't have snow here.
It didn't feel like Christmas.
It
to
didn't
us.
feel like Christmas.
And it's funny too, though, because they still have a lot of the same Christmas music here.
Yes.
So they have like Jingle Bells, and they're talking about dashing through the snow. They have adapted some of the songs, but it is funny that kids are probably singing like Christmas carols talking about snow, and we're all sweating. It's weird.
Yeah.
We could probably live here for 20 years, and I don't think I would ever get used to
Yeah.
Christmas being in the heat.
It's got to be cold.
It's gotta be cold.
Yeah.
All right, next up, pedestrians feel less dominant. I feel like in Canada, for the most part, pedestrians have right of way.
Yes.
Unless there's a sign saying that you don't. Cars are supposed to yield to pedestrians.
Yeah.
And maybe it's supposed to be like that.
Oh,
That was a helicopter. And maybe it is supposed to be like that here, but from my experience, it has not been. The number of times I go to cross at what I would assume would be like a crosswalk.
And there's also a lot of places where I feel like there should be crosswalks and there aren't. So you end up either having to walk like half a block down to actually cross at an actual one, or you just do what everyone else does, which is just run across the road really fast.
Yeah, that's the same here in Asia, in these countries that I've been so far, in Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia. You just have to go for it. You can't just wait for them to stop or for there to be no car coming, because especially on busy roads, there's always going to be a car coming. So you just have to go for it at some point. And that's definitely different than, the experience in the Netherlands when it comes to being a pedestrian or even driving. You take pedestrians more into account. So I didn't know that was more so the case in Canada than in Australia. That's a very interesting point to me that I didn't know.
Also kind of leads into our last point, which is I still am not fully used to looking left first when crossing a road and then looking right.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. It's so ingrained to look right that I like look right, then left, and right. And I feel like my head's just on a swivel constantly because oftentimes I'm forgetting that I need to look to the left first.
Yeah.
I'm assuming if we actually had a car and we were driving more, we'd probably get used to it, obviously, a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But with us not having a car, it's just still feels very different and very weird. Do you think at this point that...
Yeah, I think you'll get used to it because I feel like I kind of have, because they also drive on the left side here. And yeah, I think it just takes a little bit of time for that to really get into your mind. But if you get into contact with it enough, then at least that's in my experience. I did get used to it, fortunately, but I do have to say, in the beginning, I was like very confused.
If we rented a car to go somewhere, you would feel more comfortable?
My worry is that Brisbane feels like a very large city. There's a lot of one-way roads. In Canada, for example, when it's a red light, you're able to come to a complete stop and then still turn right on a red light, where in the States it's illegal, I believe, in most states. And then I think here in Australia, you're not allowed to turn left on red.
There's also something called a hook turn, and I still have yet to look up what that is, but I keep hearing about this, that Australia has a hook turn that people don't get used to, and I just don't even know what that is.
Maybe
What's
it's
a
like
hook turn?
Maybe it's a U-turn or something.
What is a
Maybe.
hook turn?
But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to drive at some point. We've got to get to more remote locations that aren't serviced by buses or trains. We'll get there.
Yeah,
We're
and
just not there
obviously
yet.
we'll look into the driving laws and
Yeah.
if you can turn left on red. But yeah, that's pretty much our list of things that still feel weird, strange, different, we're not fully used to. And this morning, actually, it's currently Saturday, we went to a farmer's market in New Farm. And so next week's video is going to be our experience visiting there. If you enjoyed this.
That looked really nice. But yeah, I enjoyed these points. I learned a lot of new things, actually, because I have watched some videos now. But of course, yeah, just as this proved, you don't know everything because I haven't even been there. So this was another great video for me to learn a little bit more about both Australia and Canada and their differences. If you have any more points of differences or maybe similarities or anything you want to share, let me know in the comments below.